Good afternoon and welcome to the Public Service Commission. It is October 13th at 2 p.m. and we are here for our regularly scheduled business meeting. Let's take a roll call of commissioners. With us virtually, we have Commissioner Irvin. Present in the hearing room, we have Commissioner Justin Williams, Vice Chair Powers, Commissioner Thomas, Commissioner Carol Lee Williams, Commissioner Caston, and Chair Belser. Please join me for a moment of silence and reflection before we begin. Thank you. Just a second, Mr. Scarborough. Mr. Scarborough.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon, Vice Chair Powers and Commissioners. First order of business is to set the next Commission business meeting. Staff recommends that the next regularly scheduled meeting be held on Thursday, October 27th at 2 p.m.
Our next business meeting will be Thursday, October 27th at 2 p.m.
Today we have 12 items on the utilities agenda and 9 items on the motor carrier agenda. Item number 1 on the utilities agenda is in dockets numbered 1997-224C and 2021-336C. This is the notification of transfer of ownership and control of United Telephone Company of the Carolinas, LLC, doing business as CenturyLink and CenturyTel Broadband Services, LLC, from Lumen Technologies, Incorporated, to Connect Holding, LLC, doing business as Brightspeed.
Commissioners, we've heard Mr. Scarborough describe agenda item 1. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Irvin.
Thank you. Madam Chair, as it relates to item 1, I would move that the Commission accept the notification of the transfer of ownership and control of United Telephone Company of the Carolinas, LLC, doing business as CenturyLink and CenturyTel Broadband Services, LLC, from Lumen Technologies, Incorporated, to Connect Holding, LLC, doing business as Brightspeed. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Irvin. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Irvin. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner J. Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner C. Williams.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 2 is in docket number 2016-313C, which is Vesta Solutions Incorporated's request to amend its Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity to read Motorola Solutions Connectivity Incorporated and for waiver of publication.
Commissioners, with regard to agenda item 2, is there a motion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
Madam Chair, fellow commissioners, I move that the commission grant the request of Vesta Solutions Incorporated to amend Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity to read as Motorola Solutions Connectivity Incorporated and for waiver of publication. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioners, with regard to agenda item 2, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The motion carries.
Item number 3 is in docket number 2022-316C, which is the Wireless Traffic Exchange Agreement between Comporium Incorporated and Dish Wireless, LLC.
Commissioners, we've heard the description of agenda item 3. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Thomas.
I move that the Commission accept the filing of the Wireless Traffic Exchange Agreement between Comporium Incorporated and Dish Wireless, LLC.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Thomas. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote. Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner J. Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner C. Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin?
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 4 is in docket number 2015-109C. This is the request for approval of the amendment to the interconnection agreement between CenturyLink Communications LLC and Frontier Communications of the Carolinas LLC.
With regard to agenda item 4, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Vice Chair Powers?
Thank you. I move the commission approve the amendment to interconnection agreement between CenturyLink Communications LLC and Frontier Communications of the Carolinas LLC.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Vice Chair Powers. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Vice Chair Powers.
I vote aye.
Commissioner C. Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner J. Williams.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The motion carries.
Item number 5 is in docket number 2022-318E, which is the request for acceptance for filing the power purchase agreement between Duke Energy Carolinas LLC and Joanna Solar LLC, and a request for confidential treatment of certain portions of the agreement.
With regard to agenda item 5, as described by Mr. Scarborough, is there a motion?
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Irvin?
Thank you. I move that the commission accept for filing the power purchase agreement between Duke Energy Carolinas LLC and Joanna Solar LLC and grant the request for confidential treatment of certain portions of the agreement. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner. We've heard the motion from Commissioner Irvin. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner J. Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner C. Williams.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Did I get everybody? Chair votes aye. Did I get everybody? Then I vote aye. The motion
I
carries.
vote aye as well. I'm not sure my name was called.
I apologize, Mr. Commissioner Irvin. Thank you. Commissioner Irvin votes aye. The motion carries.
Item number 6 is in docket number 2022-319E, the request to accept for filing of the power purchase agreement between Duke Energy Carolinas LLC and Rutabaga Holdings LLC, and a request for confidential treatment of certain portions of the agreement.
Do I hear a motion for agenda item 6?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Thomas.
I move that the commission accept for filing the power purchase agreement between Duke Energy Carolinas LLC and Rutabaga Holdings LLC and grant the request for confidential treatment of certain portions of the agreement.
Thank you, Commissioner. With regard to Commissioner Thomas's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner J. Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner C. Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 7 appears in docket number 2022-320E, the request for acceptance for filing of the power purchase agreement between Duke Energy Carolinas LLC and Sweetwater Solar LLC, and a request for confidential treatment of certain portions of the agreement.
With regard to agenda item 7, as identified by Mr. Scarborough, is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Caston.
I move that the commission accept for filing the power purchase agreement between Duke Energy Carolinas LLC and Sweetwater Solar LLC and grant the request for confidential treatment of certain portions of the agreement.
Thank you, Commissioner Caston. Is there any discussion on Commissioner Caston's motion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote. Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner J. Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner C. Williams.
I vote aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Items numbered 8, 9, and 10 can be taken together because all of them concern motions to withdraw Lauren J. Brown, Esquire, as counsel of record, filed on behalf of the South Carolina Coastal Conservation League and the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy in the following 6 dockets: 2015-362E, 1995-1192E, 2019-184E, 2019-185E, and 2019-186E.
Mr. Scarborough, that's 5 dockets, is it not? I'm looking at my agenda.
You're right, 5
Okay.
dockets. Sorry.
No, that's fine, thank you. Believe me, that's fine. I make enough mistakes to cover all of us.
And I thought I had it perfectly done today.
Commissioners, we've heard the dockets identified and the request related to those dockets. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Vice Chair Powers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the commission grant the withdrawal of Lauren J. Bowen Esquire as counsel of record filed on behalf of the South Carolina Coastal Conservation League and Southern Alliance for Clean Energy in items numbers 8 through 10 as listed by Mr. Norman Scarborough. So moved.
Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Vice Chair Powers. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote. Vice Chair Powers.
I vote aye.
Commissioner C. Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner J. Williams.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 11 appears in docket number 2022-256E, which includes the following issues related to Commission Order number 2022-593. The revelation of the sealed submissions of names and the filers and other relevant information is requested by the Commissioners regarding the responses of the request for proposal, solicitation number 54000-24077, issued pursuant to Order number 2022-593. Other administrative tasks related to the responses to the RFP, including but not limited to scheduling public interviews and scheduling deadlines for the parties in the affected docket to submit questions for the proposed consultant, and scheduling deadlines for the Commission to provide the prospective external and qualified independent third-party consultants and experts with proposed questions from the Commissioners.
Ms. Boyd, do you have anything that would you like to introduce our guests today?
I don't have, well, our procurement director, Matthew Hall, is present, Madam Chair, with responses to the solicitation for item number 11.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Mr. Hall, thank you for being with us today. If you could tell us if you've received any submittals and proceed to provide us with any names.
Yes, ma'am. The agency received one response, and we will open that response now, and I will reveal the identity of the offerer. The sole offerer for solicitation 54000240077 is Saber Partners, LLC.
Could you spell that name for me?
Yes, ma'am. SABEER Partners, LLC.
Thank you. And I think with that, your job is done today. Is that correct?
Yes,
So
ma'am, and I did a better showing this time, I feel like.
Mr. Hall, thank you for being with us today. We'll proceed and you can leave when it's convenient for you.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a great afternoon.
Commissioners, with regard to the response to the solicitation, is there any motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams.
Thank you. Proposals were due on or before 2 p.m. on October the 12th, 2022. Open filed proposal was received at the Commission business meeting on Thursday, October 13th, 2022. Public information from response to the RFP filed in the docket in the DMS is no later than 4:45 on this Friday, October 14th, 2022. Questions from parties for the prospective third-party consultant and expert in above referenced docket filed with the Commission by Thursday, November 10th, 2022. Questions from commissioners for prospective third-party consultant and expert issued in a hearing officer directive by Thursday, November 10th, 2022. Public interview of prospective third-party consultant and expert at a rescheduled time to be determined Commission business meeting, which will be held on Monday, November 21st, 2022. Feedback related to the public interview from parties filed with the Commission by noon on Monday, November 28th, 2022. Final written conflicts check letter from prospective third-party consultant and expert filed with the Commission by noon on Monday, November 28th, 2022. Commission decision regarding hiring third-party consultant and expert at the regular Commission meeting on Thursday, December the 1st, 2022. I also move to allow the staff to amend the schedule as needed.
Thank you, Commissioner Carol Williams. Commissioners, we've heard the proposed schedule and Commissioner Williams' motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Carol Williams.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams,
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers,
Vote aye.
and I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 12 is in docket number 2022-9E, Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated's updated integrated resource plan and the establishment of a procedural schedule.
With regard to agenda item 12, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Carol Williams.
Thank you. I move that the procedural schedule for the Dominion Energy South Carolina 2022 IRP update be as follows. Dominion Energy South Carolina, Inc.'s 2022 IRP filed with the Commission September 19th, 2022. Proposed date for the Office of Regulatory Staff to file its report regarding the sufficiency of Dominion's 2022 IRP update will be December 19th, 2022. Proposed date for other parties of record, not including the ORS, to file comments, January 19th, 2023. Proposed date for all parties of record, including the ORS, to file responses to the comments filed about the ORS report, February 20th, 2023. And finally, proposed date for Commission to hear stakeholders' presentations regarding Dominion's 2022 IRP update, determining whether there is a need for a presentation or hearing shall be established by the Commission. March the 6th, 2023, we will hold. The parties can request or the commissioners can find that a hearing is warranted instead of presentations. I move that staff be allowed to amend the schedule as needed. I further move that the Commission evaluate and define the procedural process for the next cycle of IRPs, starting with the comprehensive 2023 IRPs for each regulated utility. This evaluation shall build on the Commission's previously approved filing and hearing dates. The more detailed schedule for the next cycle of IRPs shall consider the procedural steps for the comprehensive IRP and the IRP annual updates. The Commission shall develop and publish this process by February 28th, 2023. And Madam Chair, I have some additional comments to make beyond that motion.
Does that conclude your motion?
It does conclude my motion.
Commissioners, we will open the floor for discussion, and Commissioner Carol Williams, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This commission has a conundrum. What is before us today for scheduling is the Dominion 2022 IRP annual update. In the ideal situation, the Commission, ORS, and interveners would review, comment, and the Commission would approve annual updates before Dominion completes and files their next comprehensive IRP. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Why? This Commission is now considering IRPs for Dominion, for Duke, for Santee Cooper. We recently approved a 3-year schedule for the filing of the comprehensive IRPs and the subsequent annual IRPs. To meet this schedule, Dominion will be submitting its next comprehensive IRP at the end of January of 2023. The review of its 2022 IRP annual update will obviously be underway. Thankfully, this review will all be transparent and can inform subsequent review of the 2023 comprehensive IRP. At the end of the motion, I included the requirement for a more detailed look at our scheduling of components and the timeline of our comprehensive and annual IRP reviews. Going forward, we want to avoid the conundrum we are currently experiencing. We also recognize from reports received in the IRP dockets that stakeholders are providing input prior to the submittal of the IRPs. For this and other reasons, the next cycle of IRPs may have different procedural needs than that which the first cycle had. Also, and finally, this commission recognized per statute that the standard for review of comprehensive and annual IRPs are different. We also recognize that IRPs are evolving and have the potential to be robust planning tools for utilities, ORS, interveners, and most importantly for the state. We look forward to addressing these factors in the proposed detailed scheduling. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioners, any further discussion or comments?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Urban?
Commissioner Urban, I have a couple of questions for Commissioner Williams. Thank you first for your work on this motion. I know you've worked hard on it, and I appreciate all your efforts. One concern that I have is that normally our chief clerk sets the hearing schedule by regulation of the commission. And I want to make sure that we're not changing that regulation as a part of this motion, are we? Could you speak to that, Ms. Williams?
Commissioner Urban, would you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure. South Carolina Public Service Commission Regulation 103-817 is entitled Proceedings, and it goes on to spell out in the regulation conduct of proceedings C3, after any pleading has been accepted for filing, the chief clerk may serve the pleadings and fix a date for hearing. So that currently is our, and has been our historical process for setting hearings. In your motion, the last paragraph of your motion would change that. So that concerns me because, first of all, as you've already noted, we already have some 2023 IRP hearings set. I don't think it's wise to tamper with the, first of all, I don't think it's wise for the commission to be in the scheduling business. You know, the regulation specifically provides that's the chief clerk's responsibility.
Commissioner Urban?
Yes.
You know, I'm just operating on the fly, but if, based on what you've said, if the motion was, I further move that the chief clerk evaluate and define the procedural process, would that, and continue that sentence?
That will take care of that concern, yes. Would you consider a friendly amendment for that?
Well, if I may, Commissioners, I believe that, I can't remember which meeting, but it wasn't that long ago, that the chief clerk presented to us a 3-year schedule of some of the recurring matters that we know we have, including IRPs, avoided cost, fuel cases, maybe PGAs. I'm looking at the chief clerk to either give me a nod yes or nod no, but she presented quite a comprehensive 3-year schedule, and we approved that. And I believe that the IRPs, the timeframes for hearings were included in that calendar. Is that correct?
They were, Madam Chair, after we conducted some forums with foreseeable parties in those dockets.
Okay. And so that was and the forums included the utilities, ORS, and the usual interveners. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. I just point that out, Commissioner.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And that's part of my concern because this last paragraph in Commissioner Carol Lee Williams' motion, to me, indicates that we're going to depart from that prior order and change things, and I don't think that's permissible under our regulations.
Commissioner Urban, let me point you to the second sentence, which says this evaluation shall build on the commission's previously approved filing and hearing dates. What that references is what our chief clerk just reminded us of. However, that scheduling only identifies, and I'll ask the chief clerk to correct me if I'm wrong, but with regard to IRPs, it identifies when the IRP application is due from a filing perspective and when the hearing will be,
Yes, it indicates both, the filing date and the hearing date,
but nothing else.
but not the pre-filed schedule, no ma'am, any other deadlines, that's right.
So the intention of this motion is to go deeper with our scheduling so that we avoid this, we do our best, make our best effort to avoid this overlapping circumstance. I'm not sure if we need to amend the motion. I'm really going to defer to the lawyers in the room from that perspective, but I think we are, the motion was intended to reflect the requirements of the chief clerk and build on the work that she's already been doing.
Okay, well, would you consider this change in the sentence, the first sentence of the last paragraph, to read, I further move that the chief clerk shall evaluate and find the procedural process and advise the commission of her findings for the IRP schedules going forward. Since that's her job, really. I mean, that's always been her job to set the schedule. There are good reasons for that, of course. She has to consult and confer with all the parties and their attorneys to see when they're available, see if there are any conflicts, and work out a comprehensive schedule. Of course, commissioners cannot do that because under the ex parte prohibitions, we can't communicate with parties about even the schedule. That's why it's the chief clerk's job. So if we're going to go down this road, I think that we need to be clear that the chief clerk will evaluate and define the procedural process and then inform the commission of her recommendations.
Commissioner Williams, do you accept that as a friendly amendment, or do we need to vote?
I do, based on the inaudible advice that we have gotten from the chief clerk, that meets with her approval.
Yes, ma'am, and staff will use a similar procedure. We'll engage stakeholders, whoever wants to participate, wants to participate. So, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't leave the microphone. There's going to be a question.
Thank you, Carol Williams. I appreciate, Commissioner, your accepting my suggested change.
Anything further, Commissioner Urban?
Well, I think our chief clerk just informed us that she's going to consult with the parties, and that's a normal process when we schedule hearings. And I'm wondering why we would publish the process on February the 28th, 2023, without first getting the input from the parties and their attorneys. I'd like to get some clarity on that, if we could, Commissioner Williams. Can we just say that the commission shall, with the assistance of the chief clerk, develop an amended process and make it available to the parties for their comments within 30 days. Gives the parties and the attorneys a chance to comment on the new process prior to its implementation.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Caston? Is this related to what Commissioner Urban has just requested? Because I don't want to get too many things up. We got to finish with one thing on the table and then get to the next.
I don't know the answer to that because
Okay.
go,
Well,
finish this particular issue because I don't want to get too much in the weeds before I say what
okay.
my concern was.
Commissioner Carolee Williams, did you get what the request was?
Commissioner Urban, I think the intent was to establish this schedule before we get too far into the review of the 2023 comprehensive IRPs. Listening to you, I'm not sure the specific changes, but I'm amenable to deleting the last sentence because we verbalized what our intention is.
That works. I appreciate that because this is a process. It's going to be an ongoing process, and we're going to need. I think you would agree with me. Hope that all the commissioners would agree with me that we need to get not we, but the chief clerk needs to get the input of the parties and their attorneys before any process is finalized. You would agree with that, wouldn't you?
Director Boyd, is that amenable to you?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Irvin.
Thank you.
Commissioner Irvin, anything else?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Caston?
I think I followed all that. So with that in mind and considering the chief clerk's comfortable doing these things, I guess my main thought, I wouldn't say concern, but as we do these things, and to me, the reason we're talking about evaluating this at all is one, because the information we've received to date, as Commissioner Carolee Williams said, is the stakeholder process does seem to be working well. And while we're going through this first cycle and finishing this first cycle, there's a lot of stuff there, a lot of dates that to me seem redundant or I'm not sure necessary, but I guess as you do this and as we as a body weigh these things, I think we should look at that particular section of the statute and maybe take that narrow view and make sure we comply with it, of course, but keep it as simple as possible.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
And I will, I think what we'll do when we schedule the forum with those interested stakeholders, Commissioner Caston, we will start with the substance of the statute about, for example, annual updates. And I think that we'll have a deliverable that targets what you're talking about, making sure we stay focused on what the statute says, but then still also giving persons the opportunity to respond. So, yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Executive Director Boyd, I also have a question. And this is based on the 3-year schedule that was presented, a month or so ago?
It's been about a month. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
That was approved by the commission.
Yes, ma'am.
And that schedule, am I correct, in my belief, that schedule was compiled after a forum where you spoke with representatives from the utilities, the interveners that are typically in the various dockets, and the Office of Regulatory Staff.
Yes, ma'am.
And was
Department
that?
of Consumer Affairs probably weighed in some too. But
Thank
yes,
you.
ma'am.
I didn't mean to forget DCA. And that schedule was contemplated in coming up with that schedule for spacing for some of these larger cases. Is that correct?
That's right.
And the utilities, were they appreciative of that process so that they know when things are coming up?
Sure. I know that they I feel as though the utilities were appreciative. I know the Office of Regulatory Staff was appreciative. In my mind, I see where at least one utility responded regarding a proposed schedule, and then the Office of Regulatory Staff responded again, and then there was another response. So I think they were very appreciative of the participatory process.
So that process gave them some idea, or was it, maybe I should say, was intended to give the various parties, utilities, ORS, consumer affairs, and other interveners, some say in the process, but also provides the commission and those parties with some idea of their scheduling coming up for the next year or so.
Sure, and I remember in one of the forums where one stakeholder mentioned activities, legal activities in North Carolina. So I feel like it was very helpful to those who participated.
Okay.
But
those are general times for the hearings, and then the scheduling going up to that is still up.
right, right, and we for the fuel cases,
for the clerk's
example,
office.
Actually, let me correct myself, because on the fuel schedule that the commission that I presented and you approved, the fuel and PGA schedule includes pre-file testimony.
Okay.
And also CMC Steel on the chart that you'll see in docket 2005-83A voiced concern that the commission schedule the intervention date after the company's direct testimony due date. So there was a lot of participation, a lot of, I think we addressed most stakeholders' needs. So I will expand it just for those type dockets, Commissioner Williams, Carolee Williams, that you actually did see the pre-filed testimony dates. We're issuing a notice today for one of the fuel cases where the intervention date will be after the company's direct testimony due date. So I think that, yes, several concerns were addressed.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioners, any further discussion? Commissioner Williams, do I see your light on?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. For the robust discussion, but I want to talk about the item that's before us here. We talked about that 3-year comprehensive schedule. I remember that, but that's separate and apart, really, from what we're discussing today. I mean, it includes somewhat item 12, but that's for other matters in addition to item 12. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So specifically to item 12, I'm trying to understand what Commissioner Irvin's friendly amendments have done to your motion, Commissioner Williams.
And we were going to get to that too, about getting a restatement of where we are on that motion, if we
Would you
could.
like for me to restate the motion as I understand it, and I'll stand to be corrected?
I think Commissioner Williams was taking. Is it all right if she restates it and you can confirm? Or
That'd be fine.
thank you.
There were really two simple changes, and I'll read it, but it was just substituting the words chief clerk for commission at the beginning of the paragraph, and then deleting the last sentence. So it deleted any kind of preconceived timeline, deadline for this, and it puts the responsibility for looking at this comprehensive and annual update schedule in a more detailed manner in the appropriate hands of the chief clerk. And now I'll read it. I further move that the chief clerk evaluate and define the procedural process for the next cycle of IRPs, starting with the comprehensive 2023 IRPs for each regulated utility. This evaluation shall build on the Commission's previously approved filing and hearing dates. The more detailed schedule for the next cycle of IRPs shall consider the procedural steps for the comprehensive IRP and the IRP annual updates. Did that answer your question, Commissioner Williams?
I think, I mean, I don't see where your motion changed much.
I agree.
Okay, all right.
And to your point, and part of why I emphasized it at the end of the new paragraph, is this is relevant to both, not just the comprehensive IRP, but the annual updates that we'll be looking at in 2024 and 2025.
Okay, but your motion doesn't contemplate that the practice that is or the schedule here, or not even necessarily the schedule by way of the dates, but the process for the commission to review the annual update. Your motion doesn't contemplate that the process that is listed and included here is the process that the commission will follow in perpetuity, does it?
It does not, and that's why I offered the comments that recognize that the statute is different for requirements for our review of the comprehensive IRP, different from how we review the annual updated IRPs.
And the only reason I make that observation, I understand that we now have 3 utilities that we review IRPs for. They have the 3-year substantive comprehensive IRP and then the annual update. And while it's very important for us to give all parties notice and opportunity to be heard on matters that appear before the commission for a decision, I want to make sure that we don't get wrapped around the axle, if you will, on the matters that appear before us, because as you already stated, with this particular schedule and the horses out of the barn with this one, I think by March 6th, I think Dominion Energy South Carolina would have already filed their comprehensive 3-year IRP. Is that true?
That is true.
Okay, and then they will, and I guess we still will, depending on whether or not we have that hearing, we'll still be talking about the annual update for 2021 or 2022?
Yes.
22. So, again, the more we learn, the better we'll get. But I just want to make sure we're not marrying ourselves to a particular procedure or process, and that we're focused specifically on this annual update. And
I concur. Part
Thank
of
you.
my intended message was this is the way we're doing things as we finish this cycle, the 2022 IRP update being the end of the first inaugural cycle of greater scrutiny by this body. And that what we're asking Director Boyd to do is to look at in more detail how we sequence within the current framework, how the 2023 comprehensive will lay out. And part of our intention is to avoid the overlap that we're experiencing now. And to consider the statute from the standpoint of the 2024 and 2025 annual updates.
Understood, and I know you didn't mean anything by this, but just for clarification, no party, utility, intervener, Office of Regulatory Staff, Department of Consumer Affairs, no party is subject to more scrutiny than the other. We're just reviewing the matters before us under the appropriate statutory standard.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jay Williams. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote on the amended motion, beginning with Commissioner Carolee Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin, Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Jay Williams,
I vote aye.
Vice Chair Powers,
Aye.
and I vote aye. The motion carries.
Madam
Mr.
Chair, that
Scarborough.
completes the utilities agenda before the commission. So moving on to the motor carrier agenda, item numbers 1 through 6 are requests for Class C certificates. Staff recommends that items 1 through 6 be taken together, and I will review them for the commission. Item number 1 appears in docket number 2022-311T, which is the application of Dock Ride Shuttle LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate. Item number 2 is in docket number 2022-312T. This is the application of Strong's Quick Service Solutions LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate. Item number 3 is in docket number 2022-313T, which is the application of Faithful Adult Daycare Services LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate. Item number 4 is in docket number 2022-315T, which is the application of Teamworks Enterprises LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate. Item number 5 is in docket number 2022-314T, which is the application of Express Network LLC doing business as Equestrian Express for a Class C charter certificate. Item number 6 is in docket number 2022-317T, which is the application of K&J Logistics and Transport Services LLC for a Class C charter certificate.
Commissioners, we've heard transportation agenda items 1 through 6 identified by Mr. Scarborough. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Caston.
I move that the commission approve the applications for Class C certification certificates in items numbers 1 through 6 as listed by Mr. Norman Scarborough. I so move.
Thank you, Commissioner Caston. Commissioners, is there any discussion on items 1 through 6 on the motion regarding items 1 through 6 on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner J. Williams,
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner C. Williams,
Aye.
and I vote aye. The motions carry.
Item number 7 is in docket number 2022-228T. Staff presents for commission consideration the rescission of Commission Order number 2022-465 on July 14th, 2022, which granted LD Family First Medical Transportation LLC's application for a Class C stretcher van certificate.
Commissioners, with regard to transportation agenda item 7, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you. On June 27, 2022, LD Family First Medical Transportation LLC filed an application for a Class C certificate with both non-emergency and stretcher van checked on the nature of action section of the form. The contents of the application, though, contained only information for certification of a Class C stretcher van. On July 14th, 2022, the company's application for stretcher van was granted. On August 25th, 2022, the company filed a request to change their application to a non-emergency certificate. Commission rules and regulations do not allow a previously approved application to be amended to change the nature of certificate. The company is required to file a new application for their appropriate certificate to be considered for approval. Therefore, I would encourage the company to file a new application for Class C non-emergency certificate at their discretion. I move that the Commission rescind Order 2022-465 approving the stretcher van application. I also move that the Commission rescind Order 2022-640 requiring a deadline for a new application to be filed. These actions enable the applicant to file a new application when they are ready to do so. I so move.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Williams. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner C. Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner J. Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The motion carries.
Item number 8 is in docket number 2022-55T. This is the request of Storm Enterprises LLC to amend a Class C charter certificate number 9650 to read 15 passengers.
Commissioners, we've heard item 8 identified by Mr. Scarborough. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Williams.
Madam Chair, fellow commissioners, I move that the commission amend the Class C charter certificate number 9650 of Storm Enterprises LLC by changing the certificate to read 15 passengers. I find an amended certificate shall be issued by the Office of Regulatory Staff upon Storm Enterprises LLC complying with South Carolina Code Annotated Section 58-23-10 as amended and the applicable regulations for motor carriers. South Carolina Code Annotated Regulation Volume 10, 2012 as amended, and the requirements listed in Exhibit A, which are attached to this directive. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner J. Williams. Commissioners, Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote. Commissioner J. Williams,
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner C. Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
and I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 9 is in docket number 2021-282T, which is a request of Cynthia H. Dickey, doing business as Burgundy Taxi Service, for cancellation of Class C taxi certificate number 9615.
With regard to the item identified by Mr. Scarborough, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I have a motion.
Commissioner Powers,
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the commission grant the request of Cynthia H. Dickey doing business as Burgundy Taxi Service for cancellation of Class C taxi certificate number 9615. So moved.
thank you, Vice Chair Powers. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Vice Chair Powers.
Vote aye.
Commissioner C. Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner J. Williams,
Aye.
and I vote aye. The motion carries.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, this concludes all business noticed before the commission today.
Thank you, Mr. Scarborough. Thank you for everyone attending in person and virtually. Our next regularly scheduled business meeting will be Thursday, October 27th at 2 p.m. Hope everyone has a good afternoon, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.